Thank you, Mr. President. In just a moment, the United States Senate will vote to override President Biden's veto of my legislation that would stop yet another aggressive environmental regulation. This specific regulation is an EPA rule that would impose stricter emission standards on heavy-duty vehicles. While this might sound well-intentioned, let's be very clear about the facts. First, the EPA's own economic analysis projects that the cost to Americans associated with this new regulation could reach up to $55 billion from 2027 to 2045. And that's because when you force truckers to purchase new, expensive equipment in the name of climate, you are asking the American people to foot the bill. Any product transported by trucks, whether that's food headed to your local grocery store or something that you bought off Amazon, each one of these products will cost more due to massive inflationary burdens this rule will place on the trucking industry. That means every American consumer will feel the effects of this rule and its price increases. Every agriculture producer and every local business will feel its effects. If you're an ag or energy-heavy state like Texas, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, or Illinois, Nebraska, California, or Montana, your local economy will be especially impacted by these higher freight costs. That's not to mention the 3 million Americans who work as commercial truckers. Many truckers work for mom-and-pop operations, small businesses that simply don't have the financial resources to handle a spike in costs. Many of these businesses and the good-paying jobs that they support, they won't survive this rule. And you know, the real irony here is that the way this, quote, green, unquote, regulation is structured, it actually undermines its own stated goal of reducing emissions. Think about it. If the price of newer vehicles shoots up, the government is incentivizing businesses to hold on to their older, higher emitting trucks. So let's tell it like it is. The Biden administration's emissions rule, it is a political move that won't even be effective. The administration is making an ineffective climate statement at the expense of millions of Americans' livelihoods. We in the Senate should know that we're not playing a political game of chess. We are dealing with real people. We're not just moving pawns. And that's why my CRA passed the Senate and the House with bipartisan support. And that's why we need to push back against the president's insistence on playing these regulatory games. Because working families, they don't have the luxury for these games. They are reeling from inflation and economic turmoil caused by this administration. So I would encourage my colleagues to join me in choosing our economy, our truckers, and ultimately the American people over another politically charged mandate from a power-hungry White House. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.